Good morning, beloved ones. Turn to someone and say, thanks for keeping the high watch. Thanks for keeping the high watch. Yes, thanks for keeping the high watch. Somebody has to do it, correct? Yes, why not us? Thank you for keeping the high watch. It's very important. It's part of our work. This is, it's a wonderful time of the year, and I love September because it reminds me of a season of new beginnings. Don't you kind of feel renewed when September comes? There's a change of season that we are able to witness, and school is starting back, and summer's ending, but yet there's also a sense of a quieting, the ability to kind of go within. We're sort of moving, somebody said we're moving into our hibernation period, where we slow down and, we go within. And it's a wonderful time. I think it's the perfect time to get back to the basics. Every now and then it is good to review what we think we know, because sometimes what we think we know, right, isn't what we know at all. And so sometimes it's good just to review that. Or maybe we know something, or we know the truth, but we aren't necessarily using it or applying it in our lives. And we may even take pride in how much we know, how much truth we know. I've been a truth student for well over 40-something years. Sometimes I think that entitles me to some special privileges. But only if I am applying the truth that I know. I love to tell people, just because you know something, you knew something yesterday, does not mean that it's going to bless you, serve you, or do anything for you today if you don't know it in this moment. And so sometimes we get hung up on how much knowledge we've been able to amass. And yet, what good is it if we only store the knowledge in our brains, if we can store the knowledge in our being? Bruce Lee said, knowing is not enough. We must do, right? Knowing is not enough. We must do. So what is it that you do with what you know about truth? What is it that you do with what you know about new thought, or what you know about unity? After all, we are called practical Christianity, right? Practical Christianity, meaning that it's something that you must put into practice. It's something that you must do. It's something that you must demonstrate. I remember when I first got into truth, and people were talking about, I made this demonstration. I had this demonstration. And I was thinking, what are they talking about, having a demonstration? It's when the truth that you know is demonstrated in your life, and that it shows up in a very real, practical, visible, and manifested way. That you've demonstrated it, right? So here's the thing about unity or new thought, but I'm going to talk about the unity way this morning. We had our Friends and Family Sundays, and so I know that there may be some new friends here, but this is basically for us. We're going to have back to basics, right? We're going back to make sure that what we think we know is really what we know. And here's how you're going to know it. How do you know it? If you do it, if you can use it, if you're applying it. So here's the thing, what we say about unity. Here's a deeper concept of what unity is. Because sometimes people will say, well, what is unity? And you go, well, it's kind of like, and then you don't know what to say. Not quite a religion. It's not quite a philosophy. Well, here's what we like to say unity is. That it is a way of being. It is a way of being and a way of living. Not just a religion, a philosophy, but it is a way of being, how you be in the world, how you live your life. Because if a spiritual teaching is not transforming your life and your affairs on some real and practical way, then what good is it? Right? If these teachings, the teachings ought to be so ingrained in your consciousness that they are having an obvious effect on you. And when I say obvious, it means that other people can look at you and look at your life and say, wow, there's something about you. There's something that's showing up in your life that I don't have or that I'm not seeing in others. It ought to be obvious. These teachings ought to be causing your life to show up differently. Jackie Woodside, who is our facilitator for the Cape Horn Springs retreat that's going on, and I was able to go down Friday and I left yesterday. But she said this, and they're still there, but she said this during her Design Your Life program that she was offering us at the retreat. She said, your life is the way it is because of spiritual law consistently applied. Your life is the way it is because of spiritual law consistently applied, and then I would add, or lack thereof. Right? That's what I would add to that. So the truth of the matter is that, you know, it's about this, because many of us know a lot of truth, right? We know a lot of truth. We know spiritual laws. We know spiritual concepts and theories, right? We know formulas. I know I've given several. Here's the formula for this. We know formulas and concepts. It's not, so the knowing isn't the problem. It's in that last phrase that says that it is consistently applied. That's the phrase that will make a difference in your life. Not even that it's applied, because some people say, well, I've applied the truth. Okay, great. But is it consistent? One prayer does not a consciousness make. Right? Or when something happens, we do it one time. So this is about consistent application. Your life is the way it is because of spiritual law consistently applied. So is your knowing this truth? Is your knowing a deep and an abiding part of your consciousness? Is it a part of your way of being, your way of living? Or is it just something that you know, maybe even something that you like and you value? Because sometimes we think, well, I value these principles, and I like them, I value them, they make good sense, I agree with them in my heart. Yeah. If I were to ask everybody here, do you love or do you value the principle, the concept of love and forgiveness as a spiritual concept? Do you? How many people value that principle? Love and forgiveness. Okay, so there's a few of you who don't, all right? That's okay. That the rest of us are going to apply the principle and we're going to love and forgive you. But here's the thing. If I were to ask you about any of the principles, but let's take love and forgiveness. Do you really value that as a concept? You're going to go, yes, of course I do. I value that. I value love and forgiveness as a spiritual principle. But I would say, do you value it enough to do it? And to do it consistently every time it is called for. See, not sometimes, but every time that it is called for. Because you'll say, oh yes, I believe in the concept and principles of love and forgiveness. I just have a hard time forgiving those who've hurt me. Well, duh. you have a little problem. See, we have selective choice and memory as to what we're going to apply. Oh yeah, I believe that principle, but listen, this person over here, or that gentleman that committed that act, they did something, I can't go over that, I can't forgive that. Well, then you don't honor the law of love and forgiveness. See, we take some of these principles and we apply them partially and selectively to what we want and when we want to use them, right? But not really, they haven't become an abiding part of our consciousness. So I ask you, is it just something that you know and like and value, but that you don't apply it consistently to make it conscious, or even better yet, to make it unconscious, an unconscious activity that you engage in? See, so much unconsciousness is not necessarily bad, because if you can just love unconsciously, without thought, it just automatically comes up. It's the way in which you begin to live and express. It's the way that you are, the way that you be. See? It's the way that you express. Your being then all of a sudden influences your doing. You can then be a doer of the word and not just a hearer, because it's deep. You be it, you know? So the question is, is it the way that you are? Because when something is the way that you are, chances are that it has become a part of you because you've consistently expressed it. Now, sometimes we just say, well, yeah, the way I am is, I'm just loving. No, are you consistently expressing that? That will tell whether that's the way you are. Sometimes we have, I'm just a kind and loving and gentle soul. That's how you see yourself. But that may not be how you are expressing yourself, right? It's not really a part of you. It's just part of something that you like to think you believe and that you like to tell yourself. But there's a disconnect there. There is a disconnect. See, this is what we call consciousness, friends. Consciousness. When your life begins to outpicture what you are consistently holding in your consciousness or in your mind. It's an accumulation of consistent thought, feelings, actions. And we then shouldn't be surprised, right? When stuff, if this consciousness that we're talking about is how you consistently apply or show up or express something, we shouldn't be surprised then when stuff, good or bad, begins to show up again and again and again. It's consciousness. And you have whatever you have by right of consciousness. That is a standard, new thought, unity, whatever state. You have what you have by right of consciousness. Tell somebody, tell them, I have what I have by right of consciousness. And here's the flip side. Everything you don't have is also by right of consciousness. It's also a result of your consciousness, what you don't have. You see, you have to practice and use and apply a spiritual law so often, so consistently, that it actually begins to create a groove or a neural pathway in your brain. Because when that groove, when you're in the real groove, when you're in a spiritual groove, when you have that groove in your consciousness, what will happen? It will cause you to think that thought or take that action over and over and over again. Most of us have so many other thoughts, so many conflicting thoughts, so many mixed thoughts in consciousness that we're holding, that it really is hard to practice or to produce the results that we really want in our lives. Because, it's clear we got so many grooves going on. Even after we've prayed on a particular thing. We think, well, I've prayed about it and it should happen. But you see, you've prayed about it, but it's not really a part of your consciousness. You prayed about it, you made something up and you asked for something, but it's not a part of your consciousness. It isn't how you are. It isn't how you be, because it isn't what you really deeply believe to the point where it's just the way that you now think and act and live and move and have your being. It's where you're now single-minded, focused on God, the good. This is when it's good to have a one-track mind. Yeah. When that mind is focused on God. We say that all the time, let me come into the consciousness and I'm focused on God. When you are focused on God with this one-track mind, it's where we really don't entertain opposing thoughts and feelings to the contrary of that which we want and desire. See, when we pray, we'll say, I'm praying for something, I want something, but then we entertain all the host of thoughts that are contrary to what you're praying about. It's contrary to what you're asking about. Mixed messages. Doesn't work that way. It's when we are so focused and so consistent in our thought and mind that our lives then begin to show up as we envision it. And even when things go wrong or they don't pan out as we have deemed or desired, we then know that it's just simply calling for a higher perspective, and we begin to see that and we begin to move in that direction with our thoughts. Not, oh, why is this happening? God, you're not hearing me. But okay, we move to the next level. We still hold that faith. See, you have to have the consciousness for whatever it is that you want. You have to have the consciousness for whatever it is that you want and desire. Turn to somebody and tell them you have to have it in order to get it. You have to have it in order to get it. You got to have it in order to get it, right? The scripture says to them that will have more, and more abundantly will they have it. And those that have not, guess what? Even less than that will they have. Have what? Have consciousness. You got to decide whether that was from the parable of the talents. With the 1 talent, 5 talent, and 10 talent. You got to decide if you're a 1 talent kind of person, that's what you have, well, that's what you're going to get. If you're a 5 talent kind of individual, then that's what you have and that's what you'll get. If you are a 10 talent individual, you'll have that. Whatever it is you have by right of consciousness. You got to decide whether you're going to be the kind that buries your talent, and then that's what you have, or a kind that expresses it fully, freely, consistently. Then that's what you'll have. Whatever you have by right of consciousness. And that what you have, you'll have more of it. That's a spiritual law, the way things work. And if you have less, you're going to have less of it. If your consciousness is focused on the less, you have the less. If your consciousness is on the more, you'll have the more. This is the way that it works. So I want us to look at some things. Take, for example, this whole consciousness of prosperity. And I could pick anything because I think there are 3 basic things that I'm picking prosperity because that's where I know where a lot of us live. And I'm going to get your attention if I talk about prosperity, right? You're going to listen a little bit. But the areas are that we really listen to, that we are tuned to, is prosperity, health, and our relationships, right? We want our money, we want to feel good, and we want that love and relationship. So if I talk about any of those areas, I got your attention. So let's use the example of prosperity for today, all right? I can use any one of them, but let's say prosperity. You will not be prosperous if you do not have the consciousness for prosperity. You will not be prosperous. You see, if the spiritual laws for and of prosperity aren't consistently applied, used, right, in your life, if you're not practicing the law of giving and receiving, or the law of reciprocity, or the law of compensation, or the law of thanksgiving, or the law of love, which is a multiplier, then you're not going to have prosperity. It's as simple as that. And I can say the same thing about health. If you're not practicing the laws of health consistently, you will not have that in your life, right? Your relationships, if you're not there present and practicing love and forgiveness and healing and harmony and connection in your relationships and the laws that go along with that, you won't have it in your life. So, here's one of the examples that Jesus take on having a prosperity consciousness, since that's the one we're working with this morning. And it comes from Luke. We've all heard this teaching. And it comes from Luke 21, verses 1 through 4. It says, while Jesus was in the temple, he watched the rich people putting their gifts into the collection box. Then a poor widow came by and dropped in 2 pennies. I assure you, he said, this poor widow has given more than all the rest of them, for they have given a tiny part out of their surplus. But she, poor as she is, has given everything that she has. Everything that she has. There's another portion where he says, another scripture where he says, the measure that you give is the measure that you will receive. In other words, it's about understanding the correlation between the measure of your consciousness, right, and the measure of your manifestation. I'm not talking about this physical stuff. It's the correlation between your consciousness and the manifestation, between what you are holding in your heart and mind and the experience of your life, that what you're having. You see, it's all about consciousness, not about necessarily how much you give, but it's about your understanding the consciousness behind or underneath your giving. That's what is important. What is behind? What is underneath? Because that's what matters most. Here's the thing. It's about living and giving from the overflow of life. And when you understand that God is infinite and opulent, when you understand that his laws of being are placed within you, then you start living out of that consciousness of fullness and abundance and overflowing blessings, right? No matter what you may have at any given time, because this is your consciousness. That widow gave everything that she had. And the question for us becomes, do you give everything that you have to your own life? Do you give everything you have to your dreams and to your desires and to your wants and your wishes and your visions and the things that you are holding? See, she offered 2 pennies, but 2 pennies out of the fullness of her heart, out of the fullness of her consciousness, which was rich indeed. She understood some things. She understood the spirit behind the law of giving and receiving. She didn't go and say, I only have 2 pennies, and Lord, I can't give you one of my pennies. I need to have my pennies for myself. She understood that it was consciousness behind that. She understood the power of offering something to her life, to her experience, to her present situation, because it's all about consciousness. She was offering to her present situation, which appeared to be lack, but that wasn't what was showing up. What was she offering? Her full and complete self, her wholeness, her love, her faith, all of these things. So here's the unity way. For the most part, we offer things. We offer things here on a love offering basis. You hear that all the time, right? Let's take a love offering. We offer things here on a love offering basis, but here's the key, and I need to be clear on this so that you can be clear on this. Love offering does not mean or equate to free. Do you understand what that is? Love offering, and there's only a few that get that. And a lot of times I don't talk about this kind of thing like money or something from the pulpit, but I'm talking consciousness here. Consciousness. And I have a spiritual responsibility to offer and teach consciousness. So if you think I'm talking just about money, you're missing it. But money is connected to your consciousness. All right? So what we do is we offer things on a love offering basis, which does not equate or mean free. It means that you have the opportunity to offer something out of love, to offer something of yourself out of your consciousness. It's not the amount that you give, but the consciousness in which you give it that matters. It's the consciousness. And that you're always willing to offer something to your experience. See, I'm probably going to step on somebody's toes, but sometimes I have to just do that. This should not be a class, a workshop, a Sunday service, or a concert, or a special event, or a fellowship experience where you do not offer something. Because in each of these scenarios, the facilitators have offered something of themselves. Maybe it was hours of preparation for a class, all right? So that you could and we could receive the wisdom and knowledge. Or maybe they offered hours of practice, right? Musical practice so that we could enjoy wonderful music, right? You don't get to play the piano or the bass or the drums by just occasionally picking up a drum, right? Or do you tinkle those occasionally? You had to practice that. You had to use it and apply it, did you not? This is the law of life. For them to offer, we sit up here every time you hear, they're offering you. No. We love when the quiet, they're offering you something of themselves. They're giving to you out of the fullness, whether it's the choir or them, or whether it's somebody, downstairs or whatever. They're offering something to you out of their fullness. Whether it's the hospitality, I'm just so amazed sometimes at the hospitality committee because listen what they do. A lot of times our love and action teams is great because we offer. Somebody's over there in the bookstore with the kids. But the hospitality people they offer something that says they're purchasing. They go out and they purchase this food. First of all, it's not something that's happening here on Sunday. They got to take time out of their schedule to go to a grocery store and to purchase something out of their pockets, by the way, okay? And then prepare it so that we could enjoy fellowship together. And they do this Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. That is so amazing. It's a part of their tithe and their talent and giving of themselves, all of which they do on a love offering basis. Out of the love for this church, out of the love for their colleagues and their fellow citizens. And here's what I say. They're not doing it for free. They're doing it for love. You get it? They're doing it for love. It's so important. I see you here, Rev. I know Rev, when she prepares a class, has a workshop for us. Did you just get up and say, I think I'll just get up and shoot from the hip this week? You prepared for them, right? You gave something of yourself. You ministered to them. You're giving your soul and your heart so that the people could enjoy it. And the people came and they asked me, could we have Reverend Charlotte back to do another class? I said, sure, why not? So it must have been something that you fed them, something that you gave them. And then you can imagine my shock when I realized after 7 weeks of that they contributed $210 out of the whole 7 weeks. I said, oh, my Lordy, I can't offer that to Reverend Charlotte. We got to offer her love. We got to offer her more. And I knew you would understand as well because you understand consciousness. So what I'm saying here today, friends, is that, and I'm using this, but I could use this for any principle. This is what I like to say. There's nothing here that we offer for free at Unity, but everything is offered on a love offering basis. We offer you love. We offer you wisdom. We offer you teachings. We offer you a safe place where you could come in fellowship and spiritual community. We offer you a place where you are accepted and loved just as you are. We offer you that place where you can join with like-minded souls, like-minded individuals. You can offer a place where you can come and receive counseling. Whatever it is that your spirit and your heart needs, we offer that to you. Again, out of love. because that's the unity way. That's the unity way. I don't have to beat you over the head, but apparently sometimes I do have to teach. This is about teaching, all right? So it's all about consciousness and consistently applying the truth that you know. So I'm going to lead by asking you this. How is your life showing up? Are you being transformed? Are you growing, learning, unfolding into deeper and higher expressions of life? What are you giving to your life? What are you giving to your hopes and your dreams? Are you giving them your time, your attention, your commitment? What are you offering to your own life? Or are you expecting someone else or something else to live it for you, give it to you, or do it for you? It's time to sort of step back for a moment and take a look at your life and see the level and the quality, the kinds of thoughts that you're holding, the consciousness that you have, either on a conscious level or an unconscious level, that you may be holding. It's time to step back into this season of reflection and taking the time and to see what's working for you and what's not working and what do you need to change and how are you going to go about changing it. It's time to get back to the basics. That's what I'm offering, the basics. Unity is a way of being, a way of living. And so I'm saying that it's time to be and live in love. And when you offer that to your experiences, you will be blessed. That's the way the law works. It's God's way, and it's the unity way. So I'm looking out to love, to be, to give, and to offer myself. I offer myself. I love that Keith said that. I give myself away. I offer myself to you to give you everything that I have. So when I leave here, I'm not going to have not one iota of guilt or I didn't do enough or give enough. I'm giving it all that I have, right? Because I love you. I'm giving it in love, out of love, and so that we all be blessed together. This is the truth that will set us free. And I hope that you understand that. And let's live our little one over there who's not happy about this truth. But we bless her. So let's just take a moment and to give thanks. To fill our hearts once again. Oh, we have so much to be thankful for. We have so many blessings. We give gratitude, we give thanksgiving, we give praise. Coming into this house and praise God for the good that is yours. Give thanks that you could be in this fellowship, in this community together. It's a powerful time to be on the planet, to know this truth and to share it with others, to lift the vibration of the world, to be the light that lights every man, woman, and child. We're so grateful for this blessed opportunity. I'm thankful for each of you, for who you are and who you be. We are one with the one. Take a deep, deep breath. I am one with the one. Just say that to your hearts. I am one with the one. And this is the truth, beloveds. May it feed you and nourish you, lead you and guide you into the unity way, God's way. Blessings and namaste. Namaste.